Hey friends, welcome to my channel. Subscribe my channel for learning technical things. What is SQL injection? SQL injection, Sql, is an application security weakness that allows attackers to control an application's database, letting them access or delete data, change an application's data-driven behavior, and do other undesirable things, by tricking the application into sending unexpected SQL commands. SQL injection weaknesses occur when an application uses untrusted data, such as data entered into web form fields, as part of a database query. When an application fails to properly sanitize this untrusted data before adding it to a SQL query, an attacker can include their own SQL commands which the database will execute. Such Sql vulnerabilities are easy to prevent, yet Sql remains a leading web application risk, and many organizations remain vulnerable to potentially damaging data breaches resulting from SQL injection. How attackers exploit Sql vulnerabilities. Attackers provide specially crafted input to trick an application into modifying the SQL queries that the application asks the database to execute. This allows the attacker to control application behavior that's based on data in the database, for example by tricking an application into allowing a login without a valid password. Alter data in the database without authorization, for example by creating fraudulent records, adding users or promoting users to higher access levels, or deleting data. Access data without authorization, for example by tricking the database into providing too many results for a query. Anatomy of a SQL injection attack. A developer defines a SQL query to perform some database action necessary for their application to function. This query has an argument so that only desired records are returned, and the value for that argument can be provided by a user, for example, through a form field, URL parameter, web cookie, etc. A Sql attack plays out in two stages. 1. Research. Attacker tries submitting various unexpected values for the argument, observes how the application responds, and determines an attack to attempt. 2. Attack. Attacker provides a carefully crafted input value that, when used as an argument to a SQL query, will be interpreted as part of a SQL command rather than merely data. The database then executes the SQL command as modified by the attacker. The research and attack stages can be easily automated by readily available tools. Defending against Sql attacks. There are easy ways to avoid introducing Sql vulnerabilities in an application, and to limit the damage they can cause. Discover Sql vulnerabilities by routinely testing your applications both using static testing and dynamic testing. Avoid and repair Sql vulnerabilities by using parameterized queries. These types of queries specify placeholders for parameters so that the database will always treat them as data rather than part of a SQL command. Prepared statements and object relational mappers, ORMs, make this easy for developers. Remediate Sql vulnerabilities in legacy systems by escaping inputs before adding them to the query. Use this technique only where prepared statements or similar facilities are unavailable. Mitigate the impact of Sql vulnerabilities by enforcing least privilege on the database. Ensure that each application has its own database credentials, and that these credentials have the minimum rights the application needs. Veracode can help with SQL injection. Veracode web application scanning can safely, accurately, and quickly discover web application flaws, including SQL injection, in running web applications, in either production or pre-production environments. Veracode static analysis can accurately identify SQL injection vulnerabilities and other flaws in your application and its third-party components, and tell your developers exactly where and how to repair them. All without ever looking at the source code. Our cloud-based application security platform helps you manage your application security program, track progress, and educate your developers on avoiding and repairing SQL injection and other security flaws through integrated e-learning materials. Did you find this page helpful? It is also available as an infographic. Common web application vulnerabilities: 1. Buffer overflow. 2. Cross-site scripting. 3. Cross-site request forgery. 4. Directory traversal. 5. Failure to restrict URL access. 6. Insecure cryptographic storage. 7. Insufficient transport layer protection. 8. LDAP injection. SQL injection vulnerability target: database-driven web applications. Nowadays all online businesses are using database-driven web applications to sell products and services to their customers and share real-time information with their business partners. Be it a news website, an online shopping website, blog, social network website or an enterprise resource planning system, all of these web applications have access to and interact with an online backend database. It is typical for people browsing the internet to read data from an online backend database, most of the time without even realizing. When you search for a pair of running shoes on an online shopping website or check the balance of your bank accounts through any banking web application, you are retrieving data from the backend database through the web application. On the other hand, if you register to a news website, blog or forum, submit credit card details to an online shopping website or make an update on a social network website, you are writing data to an online backend database through the web application. One of the main problems with database-driven web applications is that if the user input is not properly sanitized, a hacker will take advantage of such situation and use an SQL injection hacking technique to pass SQL statements through the web application so they are executed by the backend database. Impacts of an SQL injection. If your web application is vulnerable to SQL injection, a hacker is able to execute any malicious SQL query or command through the web application. This means he or she can retrieve all the data stored in the database such as customer information, credit card details, social security numbers and credential to access private areas of the portal, such as the administrator portal. By exploiting an SQL injection, it is also possible to drop, delete, tables from the database. Therefore, with an SQL injection, the malicious user has full access to the database. Depending on your setup and the type of server software being used, by exploiting an SQL injection vulnerability, some malicious users might also be able to write to a file or execute operating system commands. With such escalated privileges, this might result into a total server compromise. Unfortunately, it is very difficult to determine the impact of an exploited SQL injection. Most of the times, if the hackers are well trained, you won't be able to detect the attack until your data is available to the public and your business reputation is going down the drain.